Welcome to the Fat Fuel Family Podcast, where every week Danny and Maura Vega discuss topics that help families live a healthy and active lifestyle with their little ones, including nutrition and training, peaceful parenting, education, and mindset. To stay up to date, make sure to hit subscribe on this podcast and check out the blog at www.fatfuel.family. You can also find them on Facebook and Instagram at dannyvega.ms, at fatfueledmom, and at fatfueledkids, and Fat Fueled Family on YouTube. Enjoy the show.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the show, but I just had to let you know about an awesome new company we're working with called Regenerative Pastures. Regenerative Pastures provides grass-fed meat directly to your door from ranchers who practice regenerative agriculture. This means that the meat you're buying is healthier for the environment because of the way the land and animals are managed to sequester carbon and promote healthy soil biology. And of course, it's healthier for people because this meat contains higher omega-3 fatty acids. They have an incredible selection of grass-fed beef boxes, organ meats, and organ jerky that are all regeneratively raised. I absolutely love their chuck eye, T-bone, and even their ground beef is delicious. We just add some salt and pepper and it comes out delicious every single time. Supporting Regenerative Pastures directly supports ranchers financially, helps the environment, and ensures high-quality, delicious protein for us to eat. The best part is that when you use the code FATFUELED at checkout, you save a whopping 30% on their subscription box. So head over to regenerativepastures.com and use FatFuel to save on your monthly beef box. All right, let's get back to the show. Welcome to the Fat Fuel Family Podcast. We are really excited because this week's guest is someone who we originally followed on YouTube. And over the past 7-8 months has become a great friend. Jon Pounders is the founder of Now You See TV. He's a small business owner who's dedicated the last 15 years of his life toward educating himself and others in biblical, historical, and survival research and training. He's a host on The Midnight Ride. That's where I first found him. Breaking Babylon and Pounders Live. I'll add that Jon has had an amazing transformation, losing over 70 pounds. But today we're going to go deeper into how far-reaching this transformation has been. Welcome to the show, Jon Pounders. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Thank you both for having me on. I follow you guys both on Instagram, and it was really cool when you reached out to me because I just happened to look over at what you were doing, and the idea of like keto had been on my brain for a while because I have in-laws that have been doing it for like 4 years. And so it was like, I kept thinking like, what am I going to do? Because I trained a lot. Like I'm burning like all these calories, but I ate like a ton too. So I was like hitting this brick wall. And so, yeah, it's been awesome, man. And I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always good to get the word out about anything I can, wherever I can. And another great platform, man.
Dude, it's just so cool to me to see, like, we've had like different experiences with other friends where, you know, a friend of ours who we followed so closely for homeschool, who became like a really close friend of ours. And we educated her on the, at the time it started with paleo and then keto. And so like, you know, it's like, we really value each other for different reasons. And now you and I are going to be, you know, on this accountability thing every Tuesday. So we're sharpening our, you know, iron sharpening iron. So it's a beautiful thing, man. And I'm super excited for everybody to hear how far reaching this transformation has been. So
awesome. Well, we're so excited to get into it and hear all about your transformation, but we always lead off with the question, what is the most critical problem you are currently trying to solve?
So for me, it's real kind of simple, but like I really, when I look at America and I look at my surroundings and just the people that I know and everything I've experienced in life, I realize there's a huge disconnect in humans from the creator and also from the creation, because we built things up like Babylon built things up to where everybody's crowded together and moves together in this huge community and people just kind of become like worker bees, right? And they never get to accomplish what they could actually accomplish if they were living out the ancient ways, right? And because we're never meant to be stacked on top of each other. The world's so vast, you know, the scripture tells us to go and procreate and subdue the entire earth. And Instead, we pack everything together. People don't know how to survive if they were outside of their element. They didn't have water, they didn't have food, they didn't have any of these things. They would be dead within a month, and people would be killing each other. It'd be chaos. So educating people on how to do that and becoming good citizens again, because at one time that was considered a good citizen. Now you're almost the enemy if you do something like that. It's weird.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting, and you guys really helped me understand the book of Enoch. And in the book of Enoch, it talked about you learn about these fallen angels that are teaching humans all these things, and I thought it was really interesting because it was okay, they taught them how to do how to cut roots. So okay, that makes sense. But then thrown in the middle of all of that is they taught them how to build cities. And it's wait a second, we got cities, we got cities everywhere, and it just goes to show what you said. It makes so much sense that we should go back to the ancient ways. We have so much land and there's this really concentrated effort to get people away from being providing for themselves, and everything from Social Security being made so that you don't invest your own money, you don't learn how to invest your own money, to everything being just fed to us so that we never have to. You don't worry, you don't have to worry about it. It's the system's got you, but then the system can tighten. And that's why I love what you're doing. You're really living it out, man. And it's a great example for people. I hope more people can get a little bit further along. Obviously, there's only so far you can go in certain places. You have to make probably huge lifestyle changes. But at the very least, I agree that people should be moving towards a more independent existence.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, huge changes require huge changes. I mean, that's just the way it works. If you're gonna do something different, you got to. I mean, it's just so simple. You just got to do something different, that it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to wrap our minds around that because people are often just expecting something to just fall into their lap. But if you're trying to look for open doors, you're not going to find an open door if you're sitting in the hallway and waiting for one to open. You're going to have to go and jiggle the handle and see if it's there and move as you go. And so, this fitness thing has been a huge part of that for me because there's only so far you can go if you're unhealthy, and so far your mind can take you because you have all these underlying issues that go along with it. So, this is definitely what you guys are doing is very, very important. I mean, it's one of the most important things that I feel like people can do for themselves in this day and age to break past, because, part of educating people on survival is what they're eating. The things that we've been eating our whole lives are just horrible poisons, and we don't even know it. Most people don't even realize it. So
yeah, and it's an ongoing battle every single day. We know that there's still so many people that just have no idea what is the strength of the connection between what you eat and how you think, how you go through life, how you handle your relationships, your work, it's crazy. And then, it's this really hitting them over the head with this message over and over and over and over. Go to the doctor, get your medicine. You're missing something. You're not made the right way. We got to fix you with a medicine, with some pharmacia. And
That's right.
In reality, it's cut this out, cut that out, and see what happens,
Yeah. And it's kind of like that missing link too, I think, and just the spiritual aspect of it, even in churches,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
People don't talk about it in church. Yeah, it's true.
So, well, that's a great segue. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just say people don't the Bible doesn't talk tons about that stuff, but you got to remember back then people walked miles everywhere they went. They had to hustle for their food. They work and get it. So they didn't have that kind of problem where they go to McDonald's and eat 10,000 calories in 10 minutes. They didn't have that going on back then. So
yep,
exactly. Yeah, God gave us the food laws, but at the same time, because people oh, they ate so much bread. I'm that's not the same bread. It's not the same quality. Right now, where everything is sprayed with pesticides, it's also the quantity. It's not so
they don't have jars of sugar and
flour
jars of
sugar.
Like all of these things they had to make by hand. You made as much as you needed.
By the time you got it, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. It was a process. So anyways, we're excited to get into your fitness and nutrition journey. So what was your experience with nutrition and fitness growing up? And when would you say that you made that decision to really, make a lifestyle change? We've kind of been watching it week by week because we could tell on your videos. I'm like, man, he's really lost.
Yeah, she's always like, when on Saturday nights,
I'm like, they should do a montage of like.
Yeah, she's like, man, and now you guys got these new cameras in the studio, and it's like, man, he's lean in 3D, lean in high def.
Yeah, man, it's really been an awesome journey. But like, growing up, so I was, I kind of a chunky kid. My parents were both big. Never knew what a calorie was. They just kind of feed me whatever, and I'd be running around doing these things. And so I didn't really ever think about that when I was a kid, other than, when you get a little bit chunkier, you get bullied as a kid. And so I didn't like that, but I didn't really know what to do about it. And so when I got a little bit older, I started playing basketball, and I got on the team and I started playing that. And so at that point I did really get in shape, but I was running, constantly working out all the time. And then as soon as I got out of high school, that lifestyle kind of dissipated, and it just kind of progressed over the years to the point to where I was eventually 290 pounds. But like I was, I still did some skateboarding and stuff like that afterwards, and play ball, pick up ball here and there. And maybe like I would go to a gym and do grappling or boxing every now and then. But like it was a slow progression upward. And my education on food was non-existent. When I say I didn't really know what a calorie was until, high school, or maybe even more, like even though I knew like you could read calories on the back, I didn't even know what calorie meant. And so like I just ate whatever. And if I worked out enough, I didn't gain enough weight. But if I didn't, then I would gain weight. And so then I kind of kept that going. In the last like a year or so, I started training like every day, 2 times a day, sometimes like, 8, 9, 10 hours a week, grappling and running and doing whatever I can to get my, just get in shape. But my diet was still horrible. So, believe it or not, like I never really educated myself on my diet until actually I started listening to what you had to say, and really, putting myself in that place and doing it, and really kind of just continually educating myself on what is health, what is nutrition, what does it mean to be in shape, and how can I push myself further and further. So yeah, it's been a journey, and I've just been pumping it up as far as I can go each chance I get. And I love it, man, because I never would have, like what I'm doing today, like what I did yesterday, being able to go and spar and like for a couple hours, and then being able to run for an hour, and then being able to work out again for an hour, all in one day. Like I never would have been able to do that before, like even in high school, like it's unreal, man. But it's changed my life in a lot of ways, because I find myself, even though I'm working out more, I have more time to do other things. I have more energy to do other things. My mind works better. I remember things more. I'm able to like not go through the depression up and downs that comes with food anxiety, having to want to eat food, being hangry, or all these crazy things that go on with that, and not having gut problems, not having all that stuff going on. Like it's changed pretty much every aspect of my life in a positive way. I mean, I know that sounds like people are probably like, whatever, dude. But I'm serious. It really has. I mean, I was pre-diabetic. I mean, my blood sugars were high. I had heart palpitations at one point. I mean, I felt down a lot. And I mean, through the grace of God, he allowed me to continue through and push and be able to do what I needed to do as far as, certain things. But I had my limitations that I couldn't break past. So this has helped me to break past those limitations that had held on me for so long. And so, this is definitely, if there's anybody out there that's listening, that's thinking about doing it, don't think about it, just do it, because you need to change your life. And we've grown up in a society that has literally destroyed our education on these things. I mean, completely done everything they can, sent billions of dollars in lobbyists to make sure that you don't understand the principles behind the things you eat and what they're feeding you. And so it's super, super important. If there's anything else you want me to touch on that I missed,
dude,
please.
I love seeing how this fits into everything else you're doing, because you're so focused on, your mission in life. And it's just amazing to see you taking this platform that God has blessed you with and like really spreading that message, it's like, these people come for entertainment. They come for, biblical education. They come for prophecy. And then they're getting keto, and then with Pounders Live, you got, by the way, I spoke to the guy who's lost like 100 pounds or whatever. I've been in contact with him too. And it's just been amazing to see that and like how that fits into everything else. And I think that's, again, for me, that's like, so we've talked about, you mentioned all the things that I was going to ask you, like what type of improvements have you seen and what other areas, but that is literally, it's not crazy to say that, because my first time ever on a stage talking about this stuff was to talk about how it improved my productivity at work. I won awards, sales awards because of it. Like my relationship, I'm sure was helped. So I guess we can go, since you've kind of got into all of that, we can go to the next thing, which is, well, I'll let you ask that one.
Oh yeah. Well, this is very interesting. And it doesn't sound crazy. Like, I mean, just to touch on just even a little bit of like the mental health part and like how people don't realize like it can affect your mood. You can be like a depressed, angry person. All of our serotonin and our neurotransmitters are made in our gut. So if you have a leaky gut, you have gut issues, you're going to be depressed. You're not going to feel good. And then the blood sugar ups and downs, like you're going to be in a bad mood. It's just not pleasant. So yeah, it definitely affects that, which can affect your family as well, which brings us to our next question, because we're always interested in how, this impacts and changes, the working with your family and just like being around your family and the changes that they would make as well. So how has your family responded to all of this? And what do they think about keto? Like, what do they think about all this?
So like my wife, she started doing keto with me. She she's still like doing lower carb stuff. She's not really doing it, but she's always been like a real active person. She did cheerleading when she was younger. She run all the time. She's the kind of person that like she could not run for like 6 months and then she goes out and runs 10 miles and no big deal. You know what I mean? So like she's always been pretty like fitness orientated with that stuff, but she's definitely eating different. Like everything in our house has changed about what we bring into the house. Like we don't do any more of the like processed like cheese puffs and crazy stuff like that the kids would eat. And my kids, I cook them what I eat. Like this morning they ate what I ate, and I do that stuff. So they train a lot too. They train pretty much, roughly 7 or 8 times a week, and they're training for a state tournament, for a grappling tournament in state that coming up in September. So they train a lot too. So they need to eat a lot as well. So they're growing like crazy, getting, bigger, stronger. It's really impacted my family in a really positive way, because actually it's, we were able to educate our children on what's good to eat, what's not good to eat, why it's not good to eat that. But as before, I never was educating them on that because I didn't care myself. So why would I educate my children on that? Now they get a chance to see that in action, and they've really never known what it's like to not be in shape, because they've I held them to a higher standard than I held myself, which I realized was wrong. But I'm like, I got them, in jiu-jitsu and boxing and stuff like that as soon as they were old enough to, do it. And I'm like keeping them going and trying to feed them properly. But myself, I was just kind of letting myself deteriorate. So they're really happy. They don't come around smacking me in the belly anymore, calling me fat daddy or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. But
oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was gonna say something earlier that you mentioned that I think people should be aware of. And that is that, it's like, in every area of our life, we have to take a responsibility, like a personal responsibility. Like, I love that you've made it a habit to like learn about this stuff, because it's great. I'm a nutrition and fitness like authority, that's great. And that's my job. And I want to help people, but it's kind of like, people continue to abdicate their responsibilities to other people in all areas of life. Spiritually, they're getting spiritually fed by their pastor every weekend, and they're not doing their own job. And that's why they don't realize that they're being deceived. It's the same thing with like, fitness, nutrition. We have to take a personal responsibility. God wants us to take a personal responsibility. So, hey guys, I want to take a minute to make a quick shout out to our sponsors, Optimal Carnivore. You've heard us talk about how important organ meats are. They're some of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Now, for people like me and my oldest son, Desmond, it's easy to eat things that turn most people off because if you tell us it's healthy, we're down for whatever. But for my other son, Dean and Maura, and I suspect a lot of you, not so much. You can make things like our organ meat burgers, but that also requires some effort, and you still may not like the taste. Optimal Carnivore sources 100% grass-fed organ meats from New Zealand, freeze-drying the organs and encapsulating them into convenient bovine gelatin capsules. Unlike a lot of areas in the US, New Zealand still has a lot of rich soil, lush greenery, and one of the cleanest environments on Earth. They currently have a grass-fed organ complex that contains 9 different organs, including beef liver, brain, thymus, heart, kidney, spleen, pancreas, lung, and gallbladder, and they have a grass-fed liver product. These products are perfect for people who are traveling or still trying to develop an appreciation for organ meats. Optimal Carnivore covers your bases at home or while traveling, and their products are 100% grass-fed and grass-finished and free of hormones, pesticides, antibiotics, and GMOs. The mission over at Optimal Carnivore is to make it easy for people to consume the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. They also plant 1 tree for every product sold, which helps the environment. Head to amazon.com/Optimal Carnivore and use the code VEGASAFE10 to receive 10% off all of their products. So I'm glad that you're mentioning that because a lot of people are either there's no no principles taught at all, or it's just complete miseducation, standard, basically American diet, which is meant to create patience. So I just had to add that, man. I'm glad that you realize that. And now I just can't imagine you and John Hall and all these people having nutrition conversations over there. Like that's great.
I know, man. It's unreal because like literally every friend that I have that lives around me here, the people, Joshua, John, but also people that you don't know, they're all like literally in their own fitness transformation. I don't know what spurted, maybe just like them seeing well, Joshua, him talking to you, he had a really horrible experience, as you guys have probably shared with people before, but these other guys are all doing it too. It's really cool to see because in my life, I've always had people around me that didn't care about that, you know what I mean? And so now like pretty much everybody in my life that I have, like they all care about it. So it really drives me. That's another important aspect of this whole thing, is just having a community of people that are pushing, because a lot of the stuff I'm doing now, I would never have done if somebody wasn't like constantly pushing me and striving, helping me strive towards that goal. So
yeah, and keeping you accountable. Like if you all go out to dinner, it's like everyone's kind of on the same page, like, getting together with people. You're gonna eat that when you really we love it because when we like most of our friends are
when we go out with them
keto carnivores, and it's like when we have house parties or dinner parties, everybody's like on the same page.
Oh heck yeah, man.
Yeah,
it's so great, and like not having to worry about the kids or
oh my gosh, that's
especially the kid stuff. That stuff always sneaks in, but
yep.
Oh man, yeah. That's hard when you go into cookouts and they got like sweets everywhere, and the kids are sneaking them if they got,
But we always feed them before. We got to feed them like that's our trick. Our trick is to feed them before as much as possible, and then like
and then we let them like they have to make that mistake too. I think with our kids and probably yours too. I mean, they don't know what it's like to feel bad. So when they do feel bad, they feel it. Like they think it's normal and that everyone just feels great all the time. So they will sometimes go hard at a birthday party and then end up with a stomach ache. And it's like, they got to experience that too. And they're like, oh yeah, this is why. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why. We don't do that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, you got to make their mistakes for sure, But we homeschool too, and I think you guys homeschool as well. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So like making this part of their education so awesome, and really like a lot of aspects that we get to educate our children on that a lot of people don't. They're going to be so far ahead on things that we never got to learn. I know when I was younger, we just didn't learn a whole lot of things that really mattered. I mean, like of course arithmetic, language, and all that, but like I didn't learn anything about finance. I didn't learn anything about running a business. I didn't learn anything about nutrition. I mean, all of the things that really matter, didn't learn anything about it. So they're getting a leg up on a lot of especially the kids today. They're getting a huge leg up.
Yeah, unfortunately,
from all of this. So.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we want to talk a little bit about, the small businesses that you have. And this all kind of ties in because I know your wife, you guys have a soap, clean soap company, which I'm huge on that because that's another thing that I think people really ignore, even within the keto community, even in many health communities. People don't realize like the stuff that we put on our body is meant to harm us as well. It's very estrogenic. So can you tell us a little bit about Sugar and Spice Soap Company and where people can find it and all that?
Yeah. So my wife, she started this company with a friend of hers, and her friend's name is Sugar, and my wife's name is Stephanie. So they started the Sugar and Spice Soap Company. They, that's her actual
That's
name.
awesome.
So like that's one of the reasons they did it. But my wife was a nurse, so she is a nurse. I mean, once you're a nurse, you're always a nurse. She still has her license and stuff. But she decided to come home to be with the children after we had number 4. So we had 4, and there's literally no way we could continue to juggle everything we had going on. So, but she's always been super independent and like, just never needed my money or anything like that. Like she's just never had any kind of thing like she's always been independent. And so she's like getting to the point now to where she's like, you know what, like now the kids are a little bit older, I think I can get out there and do something. So they started doing that because of this importance that she feels in being a nurse, how cleanliness is really important as far as like being able to wash yourself with not things that aren't chemically involved that are going to, seep into your skin and give you cancer and all of these different things. So they started that company, not only like they started it before and it wasn't really a company. They started doing it just because they like to do it. They weren't even going to start a business doing it, but they wanted to supply enough soap, just for preparing. So like, in an in-kind scenario or a scenario where not in times, but just like some crazy chaos goes on, people neglect, they don't even think about like how you being clean can affect your health in so many different ways. So people don't, if people don't have the means to be able to shower or clean themselves or anything like that, I mean, so soap is a huge part of that. So it kind of came natural to them to start that company and do that. So I don't know a whole lot about soap. So if you're asking the questions about soap, I don't know. I just use it, I like it and I use it. But I can say that you can go to Sugar and Spice Soap Company or sugarandspicesoap.com, and they have all kinds of different stuff. They even have beard oils and all that different, all those kind of different things going on. But I wish I knew more about soap. I don't.
Danny
I see
really
my
loves
wife
soap.
and them.
I do.
He doesn't know about it, but he really enjoys. He's like,
yeah.
Like when I get him, like I need to make an order because he loves the fancy soap.
You got a new soap. I was really excited.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I was excited about that.
But I'm going to order Sugar and Spice. I need
they actually have a Midnight Ride soap that smells really good. But
is that the one that you said it has like a?
I like. Yeah,
it's got like a manly flavor. Yeah, I like that.
Like vetiver.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, and then they have a female version of that one too. But yeah, I mean, I wish I knew more about it, but I can tell you that I use it, and I definitely have noticed that just not using all that junk I was using, like I don't even know what it was called, like you get
it dries your skin out too.
Just like stuff, it dries your skin out, makes you like, I don't know, like I had a lot more zits and all that stuff, with using that stuff, but it definitely makes a difference, I feel like.
Yeah, man. So let's talk about this because I forgot to ask you this. Like, I want people to understand. So you've been developing skills in several areas like jiu-jitsu, weapons, and now this trauma scenario training. Like, what are all the areas where you're training? And I got to ask you this. I know the answer, but I want to know, like, what are you preparing for and why?
So all of those areas you mentioned are definitely a huge aspect of my life. And, it's hard to put a finger on why I'm doing it other than I just kind of feel like as a man that a man should know how to defend and should know how to do war, should know how to also, if people are in danger, be able to help in some way, shape, or form. If you're going to be able to hurt somebody, you should be able to help them too. And that's just part of, obviously not everybody's able to do those things, and I get it, but like, and my convictions are that, like, as a man, that should be things that I can do for my family. They should be able to be secure in at least those things. Even if I'm not the best at cleaning, this, or I'm not the best at mowing the grass or whatever, they know that if somebody comes around messing around, they know daddy's going to lay down their life. He's going to take them out of the picture. And so they need to be able to know that. They also need to be able to just if case something happens to them, be able to prepare for trauma. I really feel like that. I also train my children on those things so that they, when they're older, they can envelop with these things. But I think it's also important for women to know some of these things in this day and age. I mean, 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted in America. Millions are battered every year. The world's getting really cold out there. And so I think there needs to be people that are willing to stand up here and there, that are, maybe not everybody, but if there's enough people that are actually able to do something, then maybe, just maybe, evil can be pushed down a little bit. And that's what I'm hoping for. Plus, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, it's everything looks unstable to me. The dollar looks unstable. The supply chains are looking unstable. The shutdowns are happening. A lot of crazy stuff's going on, to the point to where I feel like it's very possible, and I don't think anybody be crazy for trying to make this assumption, that everything could break down at one point, at least for a period of time. Even if it's not forever, it could be a month. But a month where supply chains are broken down, where water's not hardly clean, water's hard to find, where people don't have electricity. All of those things will create an environment that is unstable and an environment that's dangerous. And so the only way to stop danger is danger itself, right? To be able to be dangerous to that environment as well. And so that's why. But I mean, in any kind of area I can educate myself on, I am. So, I'm the kind of person that, like, a class will come to town that'll teach you how to pick locks, and I'll go take that class. Or if, like, there's like just anything. We've done the lock picking classes. We've done different surveillance classes where it teaches you how to do counter surveillance and all these different things. So just random stuff that comes our way. If I'm like, look, I can do this, I'm going to do it, I go do it, And so that's where I'm at with that. So
makes perfect sense, man. All right. So I got to ask you, so you mentioned the project to me a while back, and we never got into it. You said it involves children. What can you tell us about that? And like I asked you, how the heck can I help?
So this project is going to be hopefully is going to be awesome, because we got some of the better people that I feel like working on this project. We have one artist that worked for a prominent video game maker.
I know who you're talking
he's
about.
Really,
okay.
you know who I'm talking about. He's just really talented and able to really help us see how everything's supposed to work in order to do the project. So the project is going to be like an animated series, but it's going to be for teenagers and up even. Like, I mean, we're going to make it to where it's like you probably need to be at least 13 to watch it, but scenarios to where we have like biblically prophecy-based scenarios kind of playing out in real life, but we're going to also integrate things that are associated with the things that are happening right now. So we have, storyboarding is being created, all of that stuff. And eventually we're going to have to raise probably a budget to be able to get a studio to help us create this, because, just doing it between 3 people is almost impossible if you're creating an entire series. So you have to have pretty much a whole studio behind you to be able to get all the things going for it. So when that happens, basically we'll have to raise funding, but also distribution, trying to get it out to as many people as possible. We want to try to stay away from like Netflix and Amazon and all of those different places, only because they are such a control mechanism. And but at the same time, if God opens that door and that's what he wants us to do, we'll do that as well. But whatever we can do to distribute it. But we really feel like the young people need to be educated. Our primary audience, I look at the stats and the analytics, and, is 30 and up, right? That's our primary audience. We don't have a whole lot of people any younger than that listen. So I'm hoping, like with what I already do, like we can educate parents, and they can in turn take that and take it to their children and educate them in a way that when they're older, they're going to be able to prepare for what's happening. They're going to understand what's happening. They're going to move forward with that. But I would also like to be able to interject into children's lives that maybe my crowd isn't, they're not our crowd, right? They're just people that happen to come across this and they want to check it out. And it really can maybe change some children's lives that don't have parents that are godly, don't have parents that want to teach them the right way. And that's what I worry about the most in society, is just that people aren't going to know what to do, especially the upcoming generation. They are clueless. They don't even understand what it means, social interaction means, other than internet and maybe some interactions. But, there's a lot of problems there that maybe in this society are fine, but you take away any aspects of this society that make our lives, what they are, then they're going to fail and they're going to crumble. They're going to die. They're not going to be able to make it. And so we have to reach the younger generations, because the education system that is in charge right now is teaching them the absolute worst things you can teach a child. They're conditioning them to accept, some horrible things. And I'm not going to mention on your guys' show, but people know what I'm talking about. They're conditioning them for that. They're teaching them that God doesn't exist. They're teaching them all of these things that just really wear on their mind, but they're not teaching them the things they need to learn. And so they're under attack at every level. And that's why we want to do the project. And once it comes out, man, I'd love to have your help on it. We can, do whatever for marketing, try to do everything we can to get it out there, because I really do. The only point of the project is not to make money. In fact, we're doing this and probably putting everything we can get into that budget and just putting it out there, because we really feel like that's one of the only ways we're going to reach this generation. They don't listen. They don't go to, listen to Now You See TV on YouTube. They're not going to listen to some old guy and some other guy talking about, history, ancient history. Who cares about ancient history? I'm on TikTok
for
right
us.
now.
Yeah.
Who cares about that? Yeah.
Exactly.
So
yeah, first of all, I can't believe I didn't think about this. Like, it's true. Like, yeah, parents, the typical adult is going to freak out when things happen. I mean, I don't say if I say it's a when. You've seen the New York thing. They're like conditioning people for nuclear bombs, like this is what you do if a nuclear bomb hits, and it's absurd. But like children and teenagers and adolescents who are on this electronic metaverse life, you take away that, you literally take away their world. Like you're right, they will completely malfunction. And I never thought of that. Obviously with our children, it's gonna be pretty easy because they're really not connected into that. So I think that's a great point. I mean, and even just for us on the Sabbath, like we've seen every video that there's a dearth of videos and entertainment for children that and young, just young adults that can not only it'll keep their attention, but it's not filth, and it's harder and harder every day. Like you can't, there's nothing out there that is really available. Everything for us is YouTube stuff that we find and things like that. So
mostly cheesy,
Mm-hmm.
like you said,
a lot of it's cheesy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
especially the older they get, like when you're younger, you can kind of sit them in front of anything that moves and they're just like kind of looking at it. But when they get older and start realizing what lame stuff is, they'll be like, Dad, this is lame. Like, this is like, what is it? Yeah. And so they're serious. They're real honest about it. But you're right, man. There has to be something good out there. And if the enemy can produce all of these horrible things that are just so awesome, then surely God's people can come together and make something like that happen. I hope, because they need it.
No question, man. That's a good one. We'll definitely contribute to the Kickstarter or whatever you use to fundraise, and we'll blast it on every platform we have, because people will
people
definitely
are looking for stuff.
Yeah,
they're looking.
And I appreciate you guys having me on, though. This is awesome, and I enjoyed talking to you. This is the first time that I've seen you both and been on a show with both you guys. I'd love to have you guys on my show, both of you guys, sometime as well, or just
I've been telling her.
He told me about Thursday
about Pounders Line. Yeah.
So we
sometime in the next month when you're free and she's free. I mean, people,
I'm pretty free.
We can't we start talking about stuff back there, and then people start freaking out, and then before you know it, people are like, we're always just just if you don't like it,
it's fine.
I'll give you a full refund for what you paid to watch.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's hard mixing professional life in with biblical topics, because people get so offended easily on things. And it's you don't want it to affect what your business has got going on, but at the same time, it's really hard not to talk about it because it's in your heart and it's abundantly coming out, and I get that. It's really tough. And I know that your guys' audience is probably we want to learn about a diet. These guys are talking about God. All of a sudden, this is weird, but at the same time, you probably are reaching people that you don't even know you're reaching. So it's awesome.
Yeah. And actually, a lot of our audience, it's weird because once you like open your eyes to the nutrition thing, it does open your eyes to other things. Like, so believe it or not, a lot of people are actually on the same page as us. So with that, we would love for you to share, where else can people find you and what else you're doing for those that are interested. Where can people find you online, all that kind of stuff. And we'll put it in the show notes.
We have, to make it easy, we have nystv.org, or you can just like Google search Now You See TV or NYSTV, or Google search my name, and you'll be led to one of the content that we do, just something there, and then you'll be able to grasp on it. But, nystv.org, I think it's got links to our YouTube and stuff. We have hundreds of, free broadcasts that we do on YouTube, and even on our website, there's like thousands. I think there's over 1,000 free videos that we've done over the years on there. So if you're looking to learn more about like ancient history, biblical, how it all lines together in prophecy, and also just the gospel and things that really do matter in life, in being a human that is honoring God and able to honor the people around them, then that's the place to go to check it out. We don't mince words. Sometimes people get offended by the things we say, but we just feel like we have a duty to speak the truth even when it's hard to speak, and sometimes it is hard to speak because we've lost so many opportunities because of the things we say. But at the same time, what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? So we're here to do the best that we can while we're here. We're not here long enough to worry about trying to gain the whole world, right? Because the afterlife is what matters the most, I believe.
100%. And Absolutely. It just so happens that living this way is the best thing for your health. So it lines up perfectly. There's a reason why, we were designed a certain way, and like it does fit in perfectly. And just for us, it's just, we believe strongly in what we do. If we didn't, we wouldn't do it. And so if there's something that that's even more important to us, there's no way we're going to hold that back because we care, So great to have you on, brother. So here's to many more, and yeah, we'll be back with you soon.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. It was a blessing.